Welcome to the Hire Yourself Podcast. My name is Pete Gilfell, and I'm here with my business partner, Nat Truitt. We're all about helping people become better entrepreneurs or better business people. So welcome, Nat.
Hey, Pete, are you staying warm in the Chicago winter?
Oh man, we're this year is starting out cold for sure. So I got to tell you, I always, I don't watch the news very much. I can't stand the news. It's always so negative, right? And I always am happy when I see a good article, catching somebody doing something right opposed to something bad, right? So yeah. I'm pretty excited today. I saw this really cool article. It was on NPR, and it was about this kid. It was a sixth grader, right? And he's in Oklahoma. And it's a really interesting story. So this sixth grader, if you can believe it or not, goes to school. He's at school. And I think his name is, make sure I got it, Devon Johnson, goes to school. This sixth grader goes to school. One of his fellow students is choking. Ooh. So he does the Heimlich maneuver on him and saves his fellow classmate, right? So already off to a good start of being I wish my kids could be this good, right? so helping fellow students, saves the student's life from that standpoint. Then that night, a lady, her house catches on fire, and he helps get her out of the house. All in one day, he basically saves a fellow student from the Heimlich maneuver, or what is it? Heimlich? How you pronounce it?
I'm not going to try. The one where you put your arms down somebody.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so saves a fellow student and then gets somebody out, an elderly person out of their home in a home fire. Is that not crazy?
Wait, is this a joke or is this
No, this is true, right? So I'm reading this, I'm going, holy cow, this sixth grader to be able to know how to do the Heimlich maneuver or whatever it is, and also he has the foresight to get somebody out of a burning house. It's absolutely amazing to me.
Yeah. So what have you done lately, Pete?
Yeah, right. So local sheriff office made him like an honorary policeman, for lack of better terms. Right?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Right. So that's an example of good stories. I love to see that stuff. Right. Let's catch people doing good stuff. So young hero there. Congratulations to him. So today, what I thought we'd talk about is that as we get a little bit older, I know you now are 50 years old from that standpoint. We're all always thinking about retirement. And, it's, I guess it's ingrained in us. We got to think about setting up our retirement. So the question
we hate our job so much that we can't wait to stop doing them, right?
Oh, I'm not going to stop doing it. I love this, right? But the idea is that, it's, hey, that's just the next phase of our life. But so we're going to talk a little bit about retirement today. And specifically, have you ever considered franchise ownership as a way to set up your retirement or a retirement tool? What do you think?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Okay. So the first thing I'd like to say is that I think that if you look up the word retirement in the dictionary, it says cease to work, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the definition has changed. Now I believe retirement is doing something you're enjoying, maybe at a different level, and having some income. Yeah. Right. So most people, they don't want to quit working for different reasons, right? Maybe I need a little bit of cash from a standpoint, or I just need to be engaged. I'm not ready to do that. Right. So franchising, as we look at it as a model, might be a great way to set up your retirement. So let's think about this from a standpoint is that number one, all of us are looking at, as we go into retirement, not to have to try to live off our assets. Right. I mean, because we worry about doing that. So franchising might be able to help you create that income that you have during retirement so you don't have to dig into your assets.
Yeah, I think I'd feel a lot better if I never had to touch the principal. You just, so like if we could figure out how to have an income stream, like I think of a franchise as almost like an ATM machine where you can start generating some monthly income. It doesn't have to be a huge amount, but if it could cover your living expenses, how great would that be?
Yeah, right. It doesn't have to be that $250,000, $300,000 a year salary. If it's just enough to cover your expenses, that's a great way to kind of protect your assets. And we certainly want to hold on to our assets as long as possible. And certainly, I think, have a legacy for our kids to set them up. Right?
Don't worry about the kids. They'll be all right.
It's funny. You say that. Don't worry about the kids. So my buddy was telling me this story the other day. He goes, this attorney, they were doing their estate planning, and the attorney asked this guy, he goes, do you fly first class? The guy goes, no, I don't fly first class. And he goes, well, that's very good. That's nice because since you're not flying first class, your kids are going to be able to fly first class. And the guy goes, oh, wait a minute here. Let me rethink this. So now the guy flies first class. Screw the kids, right? I'm going to fly first class instead of them flying first class when I die.
Can't take it with you.
Yeah, right. So this is a great way, a franchise is to create that, we'll call it supplemental or retirement income, where maybe you don't have to be engaged, right? So that's one thing. Number two is that, as we go into retirement, it's even more important for us to diversify our assets and our income, right?
Totally.
I mean, if we have all our money in stock market or all in fixed income, so having a business, a franchise may be a way to diversify your assets and income going into retirement.
Yeah. And a lot of people even are able to kind of tap into a little bit of their 401k or what have you to fund or finance their business. And, that kind of still is nested in, the 401k still owns the business. So that's kind of nice too.
Yeah, absolutely. From a standpoint. So I think another thing is that what I talk to a lot of executives is they look to go into retirement. They don't want to stop working. Right. And it's the old story. When I worked at Ford, some of these executives, they would retire in their 50s. They go home and they would, die shortly afterwards. Right. And I think there's something about having purpose and being engaged opposed to sitting in your house and just aging.
Exactly. Also, it gives you a good excuse to kind of get out of the house and away from the honeydew list.
Well, put it this way, my wife will never let me retire. So I would get into her business and she would not like that from standpoint.
Yeah, that makes sense. Keep Pete busy so he doesn't start managing me.
Oh, so did I tell you the story? So when I left Ford, I took the voluntary package, right? I took some time off to reconnect with my family, right? Because I had been going all the time, crazy pressure, crazy busy, all that kind of stuff. So I decide that I'm going to help my wife and all the other families with the soccer carpool, right?
Yeah.
So I put it on a spreadsheet. And basically, so I have it all timed that we're going to pick up this kid at 5:07 p.m., right? Because it's about a half an hour drive to the soccer complex. So I create this spreadsheet, exact pickup times in order, that kind of stuff. I have themes like movies for videos to show. I got treats. I got this thing locked down, right? So my wife walks in and she goes, listen, I'm getting a lot of complaints from the other mothers. You're screwing up the carpool. Stop it. You cannot do this anymore. They're like, you're messing this up. You're taking it to a whole new level. Get the heck out of this business. Right. So
were you making them look bad because you had movies and treats?
Oh yeah. No, I had this thing. This thing was dialed in. Right. But not all the moms start feeling pressure. Like also they got to come up with movies. They got to have treats and like you're messing. Oh, you're stopping at Dairy Queen for these girls afterwards. And what are you doing? Right.
Yeah.
And so anyways, I think I'm going to need to have purpose. And I think that's true for many people. What about this? As we're corporate executives, at least for me, when I was a corporate executive, we were moving all the time. I was traveling and I didn't get a chance to make an impact in the community. Certainly I was involved in my business, but when we have a business and specifically a franchise, and maybe it's in the latter part of our life, it's ability to give back, make an impact.
Totally. I always think of franchising as being hyper local. So, I mean, it is super, focused on your community and giving back and, whether that's sponsoring some of the sports teams or, helping, kids do internships at your business. I think franchising is really great. I love the local community building aspects of it.
Yeah. I mean, you're creating jobs, you're helping families have an income, like I give to the local food bank, right? I think that's just something really important from a standpoint. So, and that touches my community. And so that's something that we can do as business owners. And kind of cool is the last phase of your career is that you can even focus more on making that impact. What about a franchise? When we talk about retirement, we've talked about the aspect of it creating an income, right? But it is also you're building an asset, right? That could be supercharge your retirement if you sold it, like a equity event, for lack of better terms, or it could be a legacy. It's something you could hand off to your kids.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of guys buy franchises in their 50s. And so then, 10 years later, you kind of have that fork in the road. Like, hey, do I cash out and supercharge my retirement, or do I keep the income coming in and kind of leave it as a legacy for the family? So
Yeah.
I think choices or options are always a good thing to
Yeah.
have, right?
Right. And I mean, if you build something, that's generally you're building equity. And it's hard to do that when you're in a corporate job, right? Is you can't build that equity in most cases from that standpoint. So that's cool. I think as we talk about retirement and it being on your terms, and we're talking about not stopping, but doing something. The nice thing about having a franchise and leveraging it for your retirement is you don't ever have to have another boss again,
Yes.
right?
That'd be a dream for most people, don't you think?
Right. I mean, it's if you've been in the corporate world, you always have a boss, right? Even if you're the CEO, you got shareholders, right? But the idea is that you don't have to jack around with anybody, and you're kind of setting what you want to do, which I think is good. And I think that the other one I think about a little bit is that so many times when I ask people, okay, why do you want to invest in a franchise? They say, Pete, I'm ready to finally live life on my own terms. I want to be in control of my life. I want to decide what I'm going to do. And I think as we look at that very special time where we're going into retirement, it's a time now for us to kind of escape that corporate stuff and live life on our terms.
Yeah, that's kind of like a lot of how we built the Hire Yourself, platform is, take back control of your life, right, is a big part of what we're saying, escaping corporate America.
Yeah, right. And when you are, at that retirement age, that's kind of a good thing to be in control, because you don't want them to ever walk in and say, if you're working for a company, once they've used you up. I was just talking to an executive the other day. They brought him in to do a specific thing. He did that, and then they basically walked him out. Right. Ooh. So yeah, thank you for your service. Thank you for accomplishing what we need to do it. Now we've used you and you're gone. And that's the nice thing about when you're under control of your life. We'll use the term control your destiny, living life on your own terms. Nobody's going to walk you out like that. And you can make the decisions that are important for you with your life.
Yeah. Yeah. I think franchising is a great way to plan for retirement or for retirement. Actually, I just thought of this too, as I was saying that was the other thing that I like about franchising too, is it just kind of opens up your network of people and relationships. Because I know a lot of times as we age, sometimes we can tend to get a little bit more isolated. But when you buy a franchise, just think about all the interactions that you have and all the relationships. You're meeting people at the corporate office. You're meeting local franchisees because you have a business. Now you have a reason to go talk to people. So you can really, build, hundreds of relationships and again, make an impact and just have a richer life, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's, I think the older I get, the more I think, you got to live life, because you just never know when your number's up, right? And so you got to just live life. And if you can have it on your terms, and franchising is a great mechanism to set up retirement. Again, retirement, I look at it as no longer ceasing to work, but doing something you enjoy and having a little bit of income and being engaged, having purpose, making an impact. And so I always strongly encourage people to think about retirement as franchising as a great tool for going into retirement.
All right. Well, let's go help some more people have a great retirement.
All right. Sounds good. Don't retire on me now. All right.
All right. Talk to you later. Thanks for listening to the Hire Yourself podcast. For more resources, check out our website at hireyourself.com. And remember to subscribe to this podcast to receive each episode. Please leave us a rating, and we'd love to hear your feedback or suggestions for topics.